Alright guys, what's going on? Today is Thursday and we're going to be covering the topic of STEM and how that's going to impact your approval. And we're going to discuss all the visas that may be used for a STEM category, which are O1, EB-1A, and EB-2 NIW. So what I want to see is your involvement and your questions regarding this this direction. I have things to say. I have things to explain to you that you may not heard before. So that would be the main topic. And of course, we're going to start discussing the recent approvals. We missed a couple of weeks because we had things to do, but today we have a little bit more time. So let's spend 5-10 minutes to address the recent approvals. We actually have a lot, guys, and most of them are in the STEM category. And let me remind you that STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Okay, so those are the main things that USCIS wants to see in EB-1A, EB-2 NIW petitions, especially EB-2 NIW. Okay, and yes, I know that EB-2 NIW is the visa for not only STEM specialists, but also in sport and culture, and we do have approvals in those areas, but they take up maybe less than 5%. Okay, so let's be real. EB-2 NIW is for STEM and businesses, and most of those businesses are going to be in STEM. Okay, but there's some fluctuation there, but that's how we see what makes immigration officers happy. Okay, immigration officers are happy when they see the EB-2 NIW in STEM category. Okay, so what are the recent approvals we have in our company? So let's start with yesterday's approval in EB-1A. And that's the metrology engineer, and the metrology engineer is not who has expertise in the subway, in metro. That's what I thought maybe 6-7 months ago when we started the case. That's actually engineer who is involved in measuring things. Okay, measuring things, and I know it's not a very popular profession, but trust me, guys, there's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on in that profession. So I cannot say it was an easy case, because this guy, he works and worked in a lot of military organizations. Okay, and of course, when you work for military organizations, you have a lot of NDAs and confidentiality agreements and things like that. So it was very hard to extract information in his case, because no one wants to sign recommendation letters. No one wants to explain what exactly he has done in those military organizations. So it was a little bit hard. It was a little bit hard, but we managed. And he finally managed to give us the information for 6 criteria, and he got the approval without RFE. His petition was for 1,000 pages. Okay, so huge. The second approval is in EB-2 NIW for IT person. His proposed endeavor was in the area of IT platform, educational IT platform. Okay, so he's been involved in that kind of case back in his country, and he wanted to continue developing such platform in the US, where they educate IT specialists, they mentor them, and they also look for jobs for them. Okay, so it's like comprehensive platform. It's it's almost like a social network for IT people, okay? And we got an approval with no RFE. The third approval is O1A, a talented businessman from Russia. We got him 5 criteria: awards, press, jury, judging the work of others, scientific publication, and critical leading role. Okay, and those are the classic 5 criteria for O1A visa. All right, and of course his own company is his employer. We have a few more, but I wanna address one more approval, very recent, 2 days ago. EB-1A for, guys, pay attention, corporate secretary. Okay, corporate secretary. Who's a corporate secretary? You know, it's a secretary for corporation, okay? Who's answering the phone, connects people, sending paperwork. So basically, it's like the, and again, I'm not saying it with any kind of disrespect or anything like that, and of course, because we got an approval for this guy. But secretary in any company is probably the bottom entry position for any corporation. Of course, there are levels of secretaries, because if it's a big corporation and there is like a board of directors and C positions and executives and whatever that is, the secretary could be of a very high of a very high hierarchy in this whole thing. So, and that's what was happening in this case. The guy was really the top. The top person in the company regarding this profession. Okay, got this guy approved, and you know, I was arguing with myself and with the team whether we should call him a corporate secretary. Okay, because it's just, you know, it doesn't appeal. Okay, let's be honest. The name doesn't appeal, but we made a decision to do that. And we've done it. We called him corporate secretary, and that was a success. Okay, so guys, why I'm telling you about cases like this? Because all these cases prove my theory on immigration laws in the US. Bless me. And you see, that means I'm saying 100% truth. Almost. Okay, so my theory, that's been proven many times. So it's almost like axiom. Okay, let me actually check if that's the word. Yes, axiom. That's how you pronounce that word in English, right? Axiom. So something that that's proved, that everybody takes for granted, right? Axiom. So I believe that my theory is now axiom because it's been proved so many times that any good professional in the field can get a talent visa. And when I say talent visa, I mean O1, EB-1A, and EB-2 NIW. Okay? Any good professional in the field can get a talent visa. So corporate secretary, guys, he's a professional. Yes, he's a secretary, but he's a professional. He got a green card, okay? And all these cases, the car mechanics, I mean, the cases that, you know, they're kind of surprising. We had an approval for corporate presenter who was presenting the presentations for corporations. We have an approval for a talented events holder or presenter, okay, like weddings and corporate events and things like that. So it doesn't matter what's your profession, as long as you're good at it and you have a recognition, you're gonna get approved. I'm sorry, guys, I need to clean up my nose. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. No, even the attorneys should do that. So there's no hard feelings. All right, so let's talk about STEM. And you know, it's let me tell you guys, for a very long time that I've been in this profession, and that's almost 10 years of my own practice, and it's more than 12 years of me being in American jurisprudence. I had only one case throughout my career where we got a denial for a person in STEM category. Okay, and it was like a year ago, EB-1A for IT specialist. Okay, why am I saying this? Well, because it's important to understand that any good professional in the field will get an approval. Okay, and all the engineers, all the doctors, all the scientists, all the cybersecurity specialists or biologists, you name it. Okay, all these people, they got approval when they worked with us. And why? Because the US needs those people. Okay, I just had a complex immigration planning with a nuclear engineer from Canada. Well, he's originally from India, but he lives in Canada and he's a Canadian citizen. So I mean, he's an engineer, but he's a nuclear engineer. And just recently, if you guys heard the news that the federal government wants to revive an old nuclear reactor, I believe in Illinois, somewhere around like in the northern state. So, which means the US needs nuclear engineers more than ever, because they revived one. Where they revive one, they can revive more, because nuclear energy is cheap and it's very safe. But you need engineers to operate all those things. So which means that basically any nuclear engineer is going to get an approval. Okay, like even with a very weak case, just because there's none here. There's none who can do the work. Okay, so we need to import a lot of those professionals, and we're ready to give them green cards. And when I say we, I mean like America, the American government. All right, so and also which other areas are in the high demand? Which are other areas? And this is kind of easy, because that's what the USCIS says, and that's what the White House says. And number one is artificial intelligence. Hands down, number one industry to get a green card for any type of visa. Number two is agriculture. Okay, and even when I say number one and number two, I mean top five, they're pretty much equal to each other. Okay, agriculture. The US government wants to revive the farmers in the US, because a lot of food is being imported from other countries, and of course it damages the industry, because we don't know what kind of regulations are in those countries. We don't know what kind of fertilizers they use. It says one thing on the paper, but when you have a corrupt government, anything that could happen. So there are a lot of risks involved, and plus you depend on other countries. Okay, so nobody wants to be dependent on anyone. Everybody wants to be financially independent, and it's a natural feeling. Okay, and of course it could go by person, but it could also go by a government. So any government wants to be independent, especially when we talk about the food. So whatever you have for agricultural sector, you will get a huge chance of approval. And it could be business, it could be science, it could be education, whatever that is. The third one is cybersecurity. Okay, cybersecurity is really in huge demand, because the more we go online, the more we go in cloud, the more we use the computers and internet, the higher the risks of different attacks, data leaks, the viruses and things like that. Okay, so cybersecurity specialists are in huge demand. Engineers, any type of engineers, you name it, civil, mechanic, power engineers, any type of engineer is going to be approved. Okay, and the last but not least I would say blockchain specialist. And you guys see how fast this industry is growing in the US. The Bitcoin ETF's approval back in January of this year, the BlackRock tokenizing the assets. And guys, BlackRock is like that's the real government of the world. Okay, like Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, he is the president of the world. Okay, like these guys are, they control every government in the world because they just own the assets. They own the assets of the big companies. They have a lot of money. They have about $10 trillion in management. So they control a lot of things. So these guys, they're promoting all kind of blockchains. They tokenizing the assets on Ethereum blockchain. Okay, so Ethereum blockchain has a lot of growth in the future. So we need a specialist here. Okay, so you need to keep that in mind. But anyone else, doctors, architects, mathematicians, any kind of scientist, okay, biology, physicist, astrophysicist, you name it. Okay, everybody needs to be here, and also education in STEM, that's like a separate category. So if you're a teacher, if you're a professor in a university or school, probably not, but college, university, and something around those lines, yes. And if you teach the STEM category, you could be having a very good case. All right. So let's talk in short about what I want to see in a petition for a STEM specialist. And most of you are going to have very similar criteria that would be satisfied. Awards. You guys are speaking at conferences, and you have publications after the conferences. Okay, that is classified as an award. Then you peer review the publications of other people. Okay, that's the judging the work of others. That's the second criterion. The third one are the academic publications themselves. Okay, so that would be the third one. You work in big companies, famous organizations, or organizations with high reputation. That's the critical leading role. Okay, that could be a university, that could be a lab, that could be a private company that deals with this kind of stuff, IT company, you name it. It could be a bank, it doesn't really matter. Okay, as long as you do the work for them. That's the fourth one. Then you get paid better than others. That's the fifth one. And on top of that, some of you have contribution in the field. You may have patents, some methodology, open source codes, maybe you have courses, and things like that. Okay, you did something good for the industry. So that could be the sixth, but also the professional associations, also in STEM category, are happen more often than in other categories, and press and media about you. Okay, if you don't have press, no problem. That's a fixable event. So some of you will be actually filing for 8 criteria. Okay, I'm not surprised to see 7, 8 criteria in a STEM petition. Usually it's 6. Sometimes it's 7. Rarely it's 8, but it's possible. Okay, and of course, the more criteria we have, the better. All right, so. Very important to remember that EB-1A does not require the employer. It's a self-petition. Okay? It's a self-petition. Also, it's important to remember that O1 petition does require the employer, but you can become an employer to yourself. How? You can open a company in the US, and that company may claim you as an employee. All right, and also EB-2 NIW also does not require an employer. There could be one, but it does not require, and you could self-petition. Okay, self-petition. So those are things that are important. Let's talk about timing of how you're gonna go about your cases. So once you start, and how do you start? It's easy, guys. A free evaluation is your first step. I drop you the links in the chat with a free evaluation for talent visas and EB-2 NIW. So that's your actual first step on the way to come to the US. You fill out the questionnaire, I get back to you and give you the analysis of what's going on with your petition and if you have a potential. If you do have the potential, I will invite you to the complex immigration planning, where I will draft a written strategy for your case. And number 3 is you start working on your petition. You hire my company, you get the team, you get all the resources that we have on the company to start describing your case for the next 6 months. Once we get you an approval, and that's going to happen really fast after the filing with expedited proceedings, you should count about 9 months to get the interview in the embassy. Let me tell you that recently we see a lot of speed in this thing, in interview scheduling. What I mean that we have cases that were approved a month ago and they have interview scheduled in May. So like 2-3 months. Really, really fast. Okay, so if you start working on your case right now, especially on EB-1A, because EB-2 NIW, it has a longer wait. It's actually there's a new visa bulletin, and the priority date for EB-2 NIW is January 2023. I think it's January 2023. So yeah, you have to wait a little longer, maybe a year and a half after the approval. But with EB-1A, that's going to be so much faster. Okay, so that's the timing. So that's why you need to plan accordingly. What I need from you: free evaluation, complex immigration planning, and starting working on your case. All right, guys, that's all that I wanted to share with you. I see no questions, so we'll see each other next Thursday. And my name is Stanislav Shamayev, a lawyer of the future. Your future begins here. Good luck.